Hey friends, happy Friday. Welcome to part 3 of the Business Message Makeover Challenge. We made it. We made it to the final day of our 3-part challenge. And I'm just so excited to be here with you and today talk about how to differentiate your value positioning and help you to kind of take a look at what is the overlooked way to determine the value that you provide. This is actually one of my favorite topics to talk about because it really is like helping you to really claim your niche, to really kind of see like what makes you stand out in a saturated marketplace, and ultimately just helping you to create a business that really fulfills you, that really feels like truly aligned and authentic to you as well too. And so welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're joining me live, I'd love for you to say hi and tell me if you have any fun weekend plans. And if you're catching the replay, you can always hit hashtag replay and comment along and ask me your questions. Tell me what's coming up for you as we go along this training. I always love to make this as interactive and helpful as possible. And so again, if you comment along with all these videos, you'll be entered to win the one-on-one coaching session with me so that we could really, again, just like personalize all this content to you too. And if you haven't downloaded your free workbook, go ahead and do that at the website. Just pop the link in the chat box so that you're good to go. Whether you have joined us for like all 3 days or whether you're just like joining in us today, it's like there's no such thing as like behind or in this challenge, you're just right on time. I trust that you'll get exactly what you need out of this challenge, whether that is something that I say or I teach, or whether it's working through the workbook, or maybe it's just something like just a new aha that really helps you to think about things in a different way. I know that you'll just get exactly what you need from our time together. Awesome. Okay, so so far in this challenge, part 1, we really chose your job title and really help you to like claim your expertise and kind of like identify maybe some of the mindset blocks that can come up with really stepping into your professional identity. Part 2, we decided on your dream clients, and we really did that from a really empathetic way of really understanding like what our dream clients are struggling with, like what their problems are, and what are their desires and dreams that they have that your work is so primed to help them with. And of course, it's like part 1, I really encouraged you to be as like boring as possible, like as simple, as straightforward as possible, and knowing that it's okay that other people do the things that you do. And then part 2, then we can start to like almost like differentiate depending on like who we serve. And then today, this is really going to make the biggest difference in helping you find out what makes you different. Then really understanding like the value that the difference it makes when it comes to value and your value positioning. Again, when we talk about positioning, it's like in relation to like other people in the marketplace, other options that your people may have as well too. So the first thing I wanted to address right off the bat when I talk about value is that I'm not talking about worth. So we talk about value, I'm not talking about worth. Really, the point of this exercise isn't to determine like who is better or more than, I'm not giving like a certain weight or rank. And I certainly don't want to trigger like any feelings of like not enoughness. Okay, the point here is actually the opposite. Okay, I really want to help you to find out like what you're really good at, what your strengths are, what really fulfills you, because being really good at what you do, that's the things that's going to naturally help you stand out in a saturated industry. And I truly believe that like from the bottom of my heart of like the framework of which I help people to build business foundations. It's like you have to be really good at the work that you do, but then your marketing, your marketing, effective messaging and sales, like that could really, like once that really matches, like that's where the magic happens. So if you like really focus on being really like knowing what you're really good at and being really focused on improving your craft and really like just doing really excellent work with your clients, like, I mean, number one, that's like really good marketing in itself. And number two, it's like, I think that is also going to help you to when you pair that with really effective messaging, then you're no longer the best kept secret in your industry. A lot of clients, when they come to me, right, they always are like, gee, I need help with like communicating the value of what I have to offer. And I think a lot of the symptoms around like feeling like you're struggling with communicating the value that you offer is like maybe you go talk to people, they don't quite understand what you do, or maybe you hop on like a discovery call and it's like clearly like just not a good fit. Or that you feel like people aren't like booking because they just aren't sure like what you like, how you can help them. And so really like through our work together is I really help my clients really uncover their expertise, right? And really create a framework around their unique process, and also like do a lot of like mindset work around like receiving money and leadership and things like that too. That's when they could really start to own their own perspective, right? They can really start to identify what it is, what is the value that they offer, and really start to like take ownership over that. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. So a lot of times when people get started with figuring out like what their unique value proposition is, right, they'll ask themselves like, oh, well, what makes me different? What makes you different? What makes you unique? And I love these questions as like a former life coach. However, when it comes to like business messaging and niching, this question I feel like isn't as helpful because you're just not quite sure like who or what you're comparing to, right? Like what makes you different? Well, like in comparison to what? And like you feel like the target is always moving or changing, and like as people like come into the industry and stuff like that. And so instead, I really prefer the question, when it comes to your work, what do you believe makes the biggest difference in helping clients get results? I know that was a little like long-winded, and this is also in your notebook too. So feel free to like journal in that space and just use that as a tool to help you to uncover what comes up for you. But again, the question is, when it comes to your work, what makes the biggest difference in helping your clients get results? What do you believe makes the biggest difference in doing that? And what I love about this question is it just gives it more context, right? You're like, okay, well, like when I am working with my dream clients, like this is why, like this is what makes the biggest difference. This is what they can expect from me. This is what I know is worth it. Like this is what I know can really make the difference. This is what I believe can really move the needle in like between like not getting results to actually like seeing results. And so again, when you consider this question and allowing yourself to just brain dump whatever comes to mind in your workbook with no judgment whatsoever, I think when you do that, your values are the things that just come so naturally to you that you might actually dismiss them, right? You might actually feel like, oh, but like, is this really a big deal? Or like, does this really matter? Or like, like I think a lot of people like almost like dismiss a little bit of what they're really good at because they're so good at it, because it comes so naturally to them, or because it is or maybe because they like up until that point, like maybe it wasn't celebrated, or it wasn't like other people didn't really celebrate that. And so for you, I think just allowing yourself to not overlook that anymore, to actually like shift your mindset around that. And so I would love to know in the comments section, like, what do you feel like, what makes the biggest difference in helping your clients get results? And again, like that's a great open-ended question, and like that answer could be a ton of different things. And our job is not to like judge it or dismiss it at all. I think it's our job is to be able to really like hey, like actually like that's actually the deal. Like this is actually really this is actually really important. And I think some of you may need to hear this, right? Like once you state like what the biggest difference is, you might feel like, okay, like so what? So what? Like why should I care? Why should my potential clients care? Like, and I think again that always that's going to start with you. Like you're the one that has to like, you know, like spearhead that charge of saying like this is what matters. Like this is what matters if you want to, you know, do the thing that you're hiring me to do. And then again, like in terms of messaging, in terms of like your outward visibility, your outward marketing, like you can always like tie the thing that makes the biggest difference to the desired goals and outcomes for that your clients are looking for, right? A lot of times in my marketing, I'll write like a so that statement. And that way you're really helping people to make the connection of like why, like what you do with your people and why that's important to helping them to get where they want. Like an example of a so that statement is like a virtual assistant, right? She helps to schedule your social media content so that you can consistently stay visible and build an engaged audience without the burnout or without spending like all the time creating like social media graphics and things like that too. Right. So you're like tying the fact that the thing that makes the biggest difference is that like you're taking these tasks off the plate, off of your client's plate, like social media scheduling, so that it can still be like consistently visible without having to spend a ton of time and energy on it. So yeah, again, like what's the difference? What makes the biggest difference in your work? And again, going back to like how you're valued, how this doesn't equate to your worth. It's like when you can kind of see like the value that you feel like is most important, that's naturally going to position yourself differently in relation to other people who just value something different. So an example that I'll give is like there are two health coaches, right? Same job title. Maybe they work with like the same type of clientele, like let's say like baby moms or somebody. But maybe one health coach really believes that that mindset work is the thing that makes the biggest difference, right? Like, yes, like I'll help you create healthier habits, but the way to really sustain those healthy habits is working on your mindset, like rewiring some of the beliefs that you have around food and your self-image and things like that. Like maybe a health coach like really believes that's the thing that makes the difference. Well, then that's going to naturally differ from another health coach who really values things like nutrition and strength training, right? Like really making sure that you're eating right, and then actually like having like really like good exercise that is helpful for, you know, for your body. And so again, it's like you can naturally see like, oh, like these two health coaches have the same job but different in terms of their approach. And again, there's like nothing, like not one is not better than the other. However, one may appeal to a specific type of client over the other. Seth Godin is like a marketing genius. I love all his books, but he also uses a great example of like a piano teacher. When he talks about like value positioning. And like one piano teacher, like, and especially I think he talks about it in terms of like a parent who has a child and they're like looking for the right fit piano teacher. And then one piano teacher could really value like creativity and expression, while the other one really values like classical training. And so of course, like the parents who want their child to like explore music and just have like just a lot of fun and playfulness around their lessons, right? That type of parent and that type of child is naturally going to choose a teacher who really values that. While the other parents who really do want like, like you will learn this formally and you'll have this classical training so that you're able to like know your scales and you're able to, I don't know, like eventually get into Juilliard or something like that. It's like they're going to choose a different teacher. And when you know what the value differentiation is and can tell people about it externally, it's actually super generous, right? Because then people know that you're the right person to work with. And so yeah, and so again, it's almost like when you claim your job title, you're also claiming like your value differentiation. You're like, this is what I believe makes the biggest difference. It's also helpful to know what makes the biggest difference in your work internally. And when I mean internally, I just mean like as you build your business, because then you can create like services and products to really honor those values. So this could really help you to pick like the best business model that works for you. This could really help to almost like create like the work culture that you have in your company, whether you're working by yourself, whether you have like one person that you work with or like a huge team, right? Like values are the things that really build that kind of team culture. So yeah, I would love to know in the comments, like, how do you love to work with clients? Like, what is your business model? Like, do you love working one-on-one? Do you love creating like products? Do you love group coaching? Like, what is the business model you have? And then really kind of, again, like see it from the lens of like, I really value like personalized relationships. And so I really gravitate towards like one-on-one coaching, or I just really love like making things as an artist. So I just really love to create like products and then sell them and sell those to people. Again, it's like the most annoying thing of like there's no right and wrong answer. But what works for you, but I think it could be something really freeing about that as well. So one example that I wanted to talk about is like how, like when you know your value, like what is the most important thing. And again, it could be like one important thing, it could be two or three, like, it could be like a couple, it could be like 1 to 3, like big things. And how it really informs like everything that you do. Like, I think a really great example of this is Marvel. I'm a huge Marvel fan, like in terms of like all of the movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it's just like, it's just like, I think it's just like they're just so fun. They're just so entertaining. Like, I love all of them. I'm actually gonna go see their newest one this weekend. I was actually watching like a behind the scenes documentary of how they made their films. One specifically, the latest one, Shang-Chi, is the one that I am talking about in this example. But as they were like doing this documentary, the value that really stood out to me was their commitment to powerful storytelling. Right, it's like everything that they were talked about, even from like their first movie, all the way to this one. Well, and specifically this movie, it's like they were just their commitment to like powerful storytelling. And so it's like almost like asking them the question, like, what makes the biggest difference in making like a blockbuster superhero movie? It's like this emotional, powerful storytelling. And you could tell like this really informed everything that they did. Like, they knew it, they talked about it, and their actions really back that up too. Like, this is how they chose their director, right? They were like, they picked the person that pitched them like this powerful story about a family, right? Like like a really tension filled like father son relationship. Like that was how he got the job, was because he wasn't interested in telling like a superhero story. Like he was interested in telling a story about like reconciliation with like your family, you know. And so, and it's also informed like casting. So they picked like the lead actor who, you know, may not have been like the most like superhero trained person in terms of like physicality, but they picked the actor who just brought like emotion to his audition, you know, and that relatability. And even things like the stunts, like all the their action sequences, like it wasn't like, oh, we just have to like fight fight a lot and just make it look like cool. It was like how does this action sequence like further tell the story? How does this action sequence further develop these characters? And that is why, like, for me, like as an audience member, like that's why I love seeing this movie, is because every time I go to see one, it's like they do make me feel something. Like I am there for the story, right? I love seeing these superhero movies that are super grounded and human in a way, and then like watching them go through that journey. And so it's like such a great example, because Marvel, you know, they're a really giant leader in the movie industry, but they didn't always start out as the giant leader of it. Really, they just started out like with their first film, knowing that they were devoted to powerful storytelling, and then throughout the years, have just really stayed true to that. And so I think that's why they've had such huge success, is because they kind of know what they stand for, and they've attracted fans who care about that too. Now, I know that they already have a fan base from like the comics and stuff like that too. But I think, again, it's like you see the thread line of the value of powerful storytelling through all of that too. And so maybe if you're listening to this today, it's like you just need a reminder to like go back to the basics and remember like why you started, and identify your values and just like truly honor them. Okay, like let's not overlook these anymore. Let's just actually like be like, you know, this is the thing that makes the difference, right? Maybe the reason why like you haven't been seeing traction in your visibility or in your sales is not because you're not worthy enough. Like that's not a thing. Like that's not a reason why. Okay. But maybe it's because you haven't really like accepted your strengths and really like been like, this is the thing that makes me different, right? In terms of my work, and you haven't like showed that through your visibility like long enough to see those results. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about your value positioning, like let's put it together in your one-liner, right? And again, it's like you can say in your messaging like, other people believe this, but here in our business we believe this, right? Like that's just like an easy way like to say like, this is how we are different because of what we believe. Or you can even talk about like how your like the way that you work with somebody, like the framework in the way that you deliver the stuff is different too, right? Like maybe you're saying like as like a health coach, like we really will work on your mindset a lot, so that you can not only start to create new habits, but to be able to sustain them as well. And so, and you can make it like externally in your one-liner. You can also inform how you operate in your business as well too. Okay, so now that you have your one-liner, like what do you do with it? Okay, so I really do recommend you just like put it in all the places. Like you say it out loud, like every time you meet somebody, you kind of like talk about it. Like you don't have to like spit out your one-liner robotically to everyone that you meet, as long as you know like there's different components, like you can have a conversation around it. But it can go on like your Instagram bio, it's gonna go on your website, it's go on your About Me page, just go on like your email signature, things like that too. So it's like people see it, you see it, and then just like through that consistency, that's where where the compound effect can happen in terms of people just like knowing who you are and what you do. And the biggest thing I would recommend is to stick with the same messaging for 90 days, for 3 months, for 90 days, like a whole entire season. Okay. Like picking a one-liner this is how I think about it. So like picking a one-liner is like picking seeds, like picking the type of seed that you want to plant and then actually planting them. And then your visibility and your sales action is kind of like watering it. So it's like, oh, I want to plant an apple tree, right? I want to show up as a virtual assistant, right? It's like you're planting the seed. And then every time you go to do a Facebook Live, it's like you're watering it. Every time you go to a discovery call, you're watering it. Like people, you're like starting to like show up as like the virtual assistant. And then if you do that long enough, the clients are kind of like the fruit, right? Then you can start to see like, oh, like this is blooming, like this is actually growing, like this is actually working. But I think what I see happen with a lot of people is that they don't trust the process long enough, right? Maybe you have like maybe there's like failures or mistakes or hiccups along the way, right? And you're like, oh, you know what? It's because my business message is wrong or whatever, right? Like, and so they like instead of just maybe like continuing to water it or just maybe like tweaking like a couple of things, maybe you just need to like prune your apple tree or whatever, right? They just actually like take out the seed itself and just like plant another random seed, and then they're just like curious why like there's no like fruit coming from that. And so it's like, meaning like, okay, like I'm a virtual assistant, just kidding, I'm a bookkeeper, right? And it's like, okay, but you know, let's just like stick with it long enough to actually get enough evidence, get enough data to know like what is working and what we can tweak. Because if by the end of those 3 months and you're still like, hey, listen, like I don't think this is right for me, then you have enough information to actually make a better informed decision accordingly. So let me know, like tell me in the comments that you will commit to your one-liner for full 90 days, like for business message for like a full 90 days. And again, like you can take like, you know, the rest of this weekend or until like on Monday or something to like continue, just like refine what you want. And then from there, just really stick to it for a whole like 90 days. Okay, so once you have your one-liner, the next step is really to get visible with it, right? Really to infuse it into all of your marketing. And I would love to help you with that too. And so I have a really special offer that I want to extend to all of the challenge participants. And I will also let the rest of my community know publicly soon. But I just wanted to let you guys know first is that my one-on-one 90-minute content marketing intensive is on sale for this week for $350, which is originally $399. But this intensive is where we will actually create like a personalized visibility plan. So you know exactly like the type of content that you're creating for the next 3 months, and that will really help you build an engaged audience with like the right fit leads. Like I know I could feel so scary to get visible. Like it's actually not like a really natural thing. However, it's really, really brave work to put yourself out there online so that like the people who you're meant to work with, like you could just meet them halfway and then build trust with them as well too. Past clients who have done this intensive, we have worked on their visibility blocks together. We have nailed down like some of their offers so they know that all their content is like strategically leading towards working with them. Sometimes we actually like do like almost like workshopping together and actually like write in real time like some of these social posts and actually get like content reviews and feedback for me. And then some past clients have also like created like a habit and a system of visibility so that it feels like really repeatable and sustainable as well too. Again, this intensive is on sale this week for $350, but I do have 3 spots open for this, 3 spots at this price point. And this intensive, you could either book it in November, December, or if you want to do it in the new year too, I have some January spots open for that too. And the best way to know if this is the right fit for you is to do a free 30-minute clarity call where I just will really listen to where you are in your business right now, where you want to go, and whether or not I feel like this visibility intensive is the right fit for you. I'll go ahead and I'll put the link to book a clarity call too in the chat box too, if that's something that you're interested in. And I do want to take a few minutes just to kind of answer some FAQs around the intensive, because I do get some questions a lot around if this is a good fit. So one question that I've been getting a lot lately is around timing, right? Like, when is the right time to do this intensive? And I guess my answer in terms of timing is, I think it does kind of depend, but I always err on the side of like the sooner the better, because at the end of the day, it's like, if you want to make, I think you have to think about visibility in a sense of and how it relates to sales, right? Like, the first step of your sales process is actually visibility, right? Like, making sure that people actually know like who you are, what you can do, and how you can help them. And your content has such power to be able to position yourself as an authority, has a great way to like build connections with other people too, and to really like engage people and build those connections with those people too, so that when you have things to offer, it's like you already have people who are like open to like who already know you and are open to the idea of working together. And so if you're like thinking like, I want to make more sales in the new year, it's like, then like visibility has to start now, basically. And so yeah, and so if it's like, if that's your goal, again, like when we do our intensive together, it's like, it's in itself like a lot of goal planning as well too. So like, this is a great thing to do for the end of the year, to know like what has been working in your visibility so far, what would you like to make even better in the new year. Like, let's set some goals around that, and so that our content is really, really effective. But again, it's like, if again, it's like, if you want to do it before the holidays, I have some openings for that. If you want to wait until January, I do have some openings for that too. You'll just have to book your call, like in order to secure your spot, but you can always like do it whenever is available for your schedule. The other question that I get a lot is, what's the return on investment in terms of doing like a visibility intensive? Again, like the concept I always come back to when it comes to visibility is that when there's no visibility, then you have no business. Meaning like, and also things like social media, blogging, email marketing, like they're not going away. They're just like, they're here to stay. And also like they're always evolving. And so I think now is a great time to learn the skill of effective content creation, so that you can start to see like some of the kind of like plant the seeds that will then become fruit. Like the more that you water it, the more consistent that you are. And it really all does start with like planning. And once you're able to do that, like you can always transfer these skills to networking. You can always transfer them to other platforms, and you can always go from like written to like doing more video or audio. Like, the skill of visibility is going to serve you over and over and over again, because you're going to know, like, you're just going to know how to show up online or in person, and really be able to build relationships that could lead to just like business growth, either whether that is leads in your business, whether that's like referral partners, whether that is just like people who are like super supportive of your business, right? It's just like, it's all great. And so, but it's like, it does take, it's the skill of visibility to be able to do that. And one thing that really was helpful for me too was knowing that, like, yes, like part of my job is a coach, right? And then part of your job is whatever your job title is. But another part of your job is visibility, right? And I think what gave me the permission to actually get support around visibility was knowing that in order for me to actually like not only start my business, but continue to grow it time and time again and see that return on investment, it's like visibility is also part of my job, like marketing and doing it in a way that is true to me, the way that I enjoy doing it. Like I love to show up and give value. Like really figuring out in a way that aligns to me, my personality, like that is part of my job too. And if I get better, the more that if I get better at it, I can only see like better results from it too. Again, I cannot promise results, but I will say that past clients have gone from like feeling stuck and just like not putting content out at all, like there's no visibility at all, to actually like figuring out their content pillars, figuring out their expertise pillars, and having like a weekly process so that they can consistently get visible. And so this intensive, I love this intensive because we can personalize it to you. And so people, and there's a great standalone offer, like people have then gone on to continue to get visible on their own, or maybe they delegate some of the execution pieces to like a virtual assistant. And if you're interested in like further support and accountability to help you to build out the rest of your sales process, you can always upgrade to my one-on-one 6-month coaching package, and then just like apply a credit of from your investment towards a credit from the intensive towards that investment. So meaning if you wanted to like start with the intensive and you're like, oh, this is a great thing, like now that I have the plan, I really want some further support to like make sure that I execute on it and build that solid business foundation, we can continue our work together in the 6-month coaching package. Again, the best way to know if this is a good fit for you is to book a 30-minute clarity call. No pressure at all. I would love to connect with you. And I do have some openings to do that, like I think next week before the Thanksgiving break. And then I definitely have some more after the Thanksgiving break. Awesome. Thank you so much for you guys for joining me live or catching the replay and participating in this challenge. I cannot wait to see what your, tell me what your biggest takeaway is, either from today or all week. And again, just like continue to write like your one-liner everywhere in all the places, practicing it in the mirror, you know, practicing in your conversations, really growing your confidence in being able to communicate that in a way that makes you feel like this is what you do and you love it. So I hope you guys have a great day. And again, let me know if you're interested in that intensive. I have 3 spots open for that. And I would love to connect with you on a clarity call. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.